When do I ask my sponsor versus a counselor? Explain the roles, peer group, sponsor, counselor. This is a good question. When do I ask my sponsor versus counselor? Explain the roles, peer group, sponsor, counselor. I could answer this question for a long time. These are all really important to me as somebody that's involved in the world of early recovery. Okay, peer group, positive peer group. The role of your positive peer group is support. You go to coffee with them, you have fun, you have one-on-ones, you talk, you create some fellowship, you start building friendships. Okay, they're not your experts. Okay, they're not your experts on how to deal with some of this stuff. They're there to give you emotional support, a big hug. Go, I love you, I think it's gonna be okay. That's the role of your peer group, your other parents, okay? The role of your sponsor is to help you with your step work. What does your step work do? It's a mirror, all right? That mirror helps you identify, where am I controlling? Where am I codependent? Where do I need to build my parenting self-esteem? That's the role of your sponsor, to help with your step work. The role of your counselor is to figure out, what are the clinical decisions? Okay, do we need to go to a psychiatrist? Do we need to go to treatment? Do we need to do that stuff? And so some of the times when those roles start getting overlapped too much, or sponsors and peer group start giving advice outside of their role, or if they're not clear, it's like you can get all this kind of distorted information, and it can really throw a family off on the road to recovery. So I do think that it's like me. It's like I'm an LCDC and I'm a counselor, and I need to offer clinical advice about substance abuse and the 12 steps, and those are my areas of expertise. I'm not a psychiatrist, right? So when I start spouting out information about medication and having a whole bunch of input there, I'm kind of talking out my ass, and you really don't want to listen to me too much, even though I will have thoughts and opinions about that. That's not my role, and it's really important for me to understand my role, because so many families early in recovery, and there's so much information out there. It's like walking down a dark alley, and it's hard to know what to trust sometimes when you're getting information overload. Okay, that was a long answer. I apologize.
I don't have a lot to add. I will focus on the sponsor versus counselor portion. And since the majority of your group is early recovery, the sponsorship role is extremely important, but it is not one to give advice, and that carries you all through the rest of your recovery. Your sponsor should not be giving you advice. They should be talking about the steps, how they apply to your steps, holding you accountable for things that you have talked to them about. And I just think that's a really big thing. I've had sponsors that I've outgrown, and what does that mean? It means that I worked my steps faster than what they did. I grew because I was soaking up knowledge, and I think that is one of your primary responsibilities as a parent in a new peer group and early recovery. The more you learn, the better you are going to be, the better you are going to be for your child. Like Kirk said, keep it in the realm, as we call the scope of your practice. If you're a parent and that's all you got, that's all you got, and that's a lot. If you're a parent of an addict, that's a lot more than many do. If you have a parent who's had a child who's mentally ill, you've got a little more edge. If you've got a kid who's tried to commit suicide or harm themselves or others, that gives you another edge. So stay in your scope and soak up as much as you can as a parent.
I'll just quick experience. So quick experience, I always called my sponsor first because most of my issues were emotional, based on fear. And so if I could talk to my sponsor and get some of that fear out and just talk through it, then I would know what questions to ask if I needed to call a counselor.
Yeah, I think, I want to add a little bit more because, not just like sponsorship in general in all the 12-step worlds that I'm involved in has gotten watered down as our culture has become more about acceptance and afraid of being confrontational. And that sucks. I mean, that sucks for people entering the world of recovery. We spent a lot of time talking about this in an aftercare group that I run for the teens and young adults about what sponsorship should look like. Sponsorship has turned into this thing where the kids or the young adults call up their sponsor, talk about their day, and vent their problems. That's horrible. That's not what sponsorship is. Sponsorship should be when you call your sponsor and you start venting, your sponsor goes, hey, let me cut you off right there. Why don't you go to a meeting, pour some coffee, share from your heart, and then call me back and tell me how you feel. Okay? A sponsor should direct you into action to change the way you feel or to generate self-esteem. Not talk to you about how your day was and what you could have done better. That is not sponsorship. That's what social friendship is. And that's what a ton of sponsorship has turned into. And why sponsors sponsor like that is because they don't want to confront, or they want to be accepted, or they don't want to rock the boat. And that is not helpful. You know, good recovery is about creating, helping people to create healthy habits.